Welcome to a Sissy Fan Talking with LP. And of course, it's your boy LP. What's good with it? Yes, sir. So what's up, y'all? What's going on? Happy March, or as the kids in my class have been calling it, FebruMarch, because they say like February is just bleeding into March and they ready for spring break, and February feels like 94 days this year instead of just 28. I'm good with that. But either way, y'all, man, I hope it's been cool with y'all. No real excuse for being out for a month. Well, actually, I got a pretty good excuse. It's an excuse that pretty much all y'all can probably feel. So we gonna jump into that. We're gonna actually talk about the Winter Olympics, which is strange, but because I don't really do Olympics Junior. That's what we call it around here. But it was fed this year. It's pretty good. We'll get into that. We're gonna talk some music a little bit. We're gonna get into March Madness as much as I can because I don't really know the teams, but it's March Madness, so I'm always up for it. And we're gonna talk about another teacher movie. This one, it's a dope movie to me, but at the same time, being a teacher, this movie gives me the creeps a little bit. It gives me the dry heaves and the heebie-jeebies. But we're gonna get into all of that. Excuse me if my voice sounds kind of nasally or whatever. Man, look, I was so sick, and I could see it coming. I'm not even gonna hold y'all up. I saw it coming. Being a teacher, there's always one point in the year where a teacher is like run down, because you got to understand the life of a teacher, especially teaching like sixth and seventh grade. Yes, I'm doing the 6-7 thing because every time I say 6-7, I have to do it. And that's like involuntary. I had one girl in my class write six on her left palm and write seven on her left palm. And she go like, Mr. P, 6-7. And I'm like, just blank stare, like, this is what we doing. But I'd be blessed if I wasn't saying 6-7 2 seconds later. It's so catchy. It's so dumb. Like it's one of those things that's like dumb, but you catch on to it. Either way, I digress. Being a teacher at these grade levels in middle school, it's like the kids always want to be around you. I I always have a crowd of like 8 kids at my desk. Like we're supposed to be working. Can we all just sit up here and work with you? Y'all just want answers. No, no, we just want to work with you. We just want to be up here. And it's like half of me is like, get away from me, get away from me. And the other half is like the little kids just want to be around. They just want to work with you. Like, okay, cool. Help you if you need help. I circulate around the room, and I noticed that I just kind of started getting more and more run down. I started wearing the face mask for a little bit. The kids are like, "You trying to say we got germs?" I'm like, "Yes." I'm trying to say all you germy kids have germs. I'm just saying. Stop being mean. I'm not being mean. I'm just being real. Y'all germy. It's not like you can help. You can't help it. It's just who you are. Like y'all do gross things and don't even realize it. Like I don't even want to talk about it with you because you don't even know. You don't even get it. Long story short, I had one day in my class where about 7 kids were out at the same time, all sick. And I'm like, at some point it's gonna be me. And I'm like, big teacher man in the sky. Just don't let me get sick on the weekend. There is nothing worse than trudging through an entire week of school, get through having to sub for other teachers because they're not there. So you lose your free bill to plan and sleep or whatever it is that you do. Lose that because so many teachers are out. The grind of a school day. Like for me, I feel like I perfected it But the school day can be a grind, y'all, like for real. Getting through the morning hump, getting through the class that gives you the most stress. Like and everybody complains about their job a little bit. And with me, I don't really complain because I like what I do, but it's like a lot of people don't appreciate it. And it kind of takes a toll on your immune system. And I'm like, look, I'm just telling everybody, look, just don't let me get sick on the weekend. It was like as soon as the bell rang on Friday, my whole body just gave out. Like my whole body just tapped out, like I'm good. No mas, no more. Barely got home, barely drove home, and I was just done. The whole weekend just laid up like I've been in a boxing match, and Apollo Creed just took it to my ribs for about, man, it hurt to laugh. I guess it was a cold. I don't know. It was wild. Like it was rough. Now, our school district doesn't have school on Mondays. We're a 4-day school week. I'm dragging tail in on Monday, y'all. I'm in there done. People look at me like, Mr. P, why your head down on your desk? Like, stop talking to me. And Monday was a super tough day. We'll talk about that on the pod next week. I still kind of need to really wrap my head around the stuff that happened on Monday. So that'll be next week. That was just trying to formulate that whole thing. Getting through that, I just left work early on Monday. I'm like, I'm good. And wouldn't you know it, come Tuesday, I'm good. I'm cool. Good enough to get through the day. Didn't make sense to stay home since I'm feeling, a lot better. And I'm like, man, that's just a waste. What a waste to be sick on the weekend. Everybody talking about their weekend plans. What you do? Just rolled around on my bed in pain. Really? Yeah, for 2 straight days. That's what I did. And you know the grinder. Like if you're a parent, you understand that you being sick, man, these young kids don't care. My 2-year old don't care that I don't feel well. She brought me a little doll to play with. She brought me our sick doll. Everybody has to like hold the sick doll when they're sick. That's kind of like your symbol that you're not feeling well. She brought the doll to me. But other than that, it was pick me up, run over here, play with me. So, like, I was off, but I wasn't off. Like, these kids don't care. The older ones care, but man, my 2-year old just bouncing on top of me, like, just jumping on my back, like, yay, woo! Like, little girl, you have no care. I can't wait till you get older so I can just explain how much of a jerk you were at this age. But that's the main reason why the pod couldn't come up, man. I don't want to gross you out, but the sounds I was making, it wasn't suitable for a podcast. You feel me? Like it wasn't one of them. So I spared y'all that. But we back in living color better than ever. Learning from our pain, you feel me? So that's what that was. Got to watch a lot of the Winter Olympics. I was surprised at the production that they put forth. I guess NBC is like, look, we're going to spend all this bread on the Olympics. We're going to make y'all watch the Olympics. We're going to put forth some good stuff. We're not going to try to hide everything behind Peacock and they slipshod production. And it was cool. The thing about the Olympics are the stories. If you have good storylines, you'll have a solid Olympics. And you need the best people in those events that are marquee. You need them to qualify. Now, a lot of them did, which made for some great must see TV. And that's the thing about the Olympics, man. When they say pressure bust pipes, looky here. Like the Olympic stage, even though it's the Winter Olympics, I consider that like the second tier Olympics. But nah, they don't play like that. They playing like they've been grinding for 4 years to train for these Olympic Games, and they trying to come home with a gold. And strange stuff happen. You have people that's up way ahead, and they'll just fall on the ice, and all of a sudden they lose. It's heartbreaking to see. People say it's unfair, but I was like, that's sports. That's one of the reasons I like sports so much because it's a microcosm of overall life. And I know everybody can feel me when I say this. Unfair things happen, and in real life, it's way more heartbreaking than in sports. But in sports, it's like a compressed minutes of play, and you work so hard, and something happens that you don't expect. You twist an ankle, you move left when you should have moved right, and next thing you know, everything you work for is gone, and it sucks. Like it's a B. Like it really is. And I tell my kids in class this all the time. It's the best way to learn. You failing is the best way to learn. And it sucks. Like failure is a sucky teacher. And sometimes people can't afford to fail. But that's where the lessons are. It would be great if we could learn awesome lessons by winning all the time, but it just doesn't work that way. You start getting lazy, you start getting sloppy, you start taking things for granted. But when you put all of the effort and all of the work in and it just doesn't turn out right, you learn a lot about yourself. You really do. You start learning, can I bounce back? Is it worth bouncing back? Do I care what people say about me while I bounce back? It's all of that stuff. You start doubting yourself. You worry about people doubting you. And you find a way to push through. And I think that was a really dope thing about the Winter Olympics. The Olympics in general, but the Winter Olympics since they were on. It's that it's that spirit that you see in all of the competitors. It was real dope. Still don't understand curling. Still don't. I looked it up and read how to play and everything. Yeah, I don't get it. And we're in the Midwest. I mean, Cincinnati acts more Southern than Midwestern because that's just who we are. But in the Midwest, we play cornhole a lot. I thought it was like that. Yeah, a little bit. I actually understand cornhole. It's kind of weird. You gotta get the, you gotta get the little, I don't know, the corn bag. You gotta get it in the hole. If you can't get it in the hole, get it as close as you can, or knock somebody else's off. That's kind of what curling is, but I don't know. Then they had that whole thing that broke out about the controversy. Somebody touched theirs too long, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. Watched a lot of figure skating, mainly because the wife wanted to, and then after that, it was mainly because, dang, I'm trying to see who wins. Like my whole experience with figure skating basically comes down to Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding and that whole thing, and then watching Blades of Glory about 27 times because it's absolutely hilarious. Other than that, me and figure skating, I don't really know much about it, but it was cool to see watching those little scores on the top corner, seeing they catch the other person. It felt like it felt like hoop. Hey, shout out to NBC for putting together a pretty solid Olympic game experience. I'm concerned about the summer games. I'll talk about this more in another podcast, but I just hope we can pull it off, and I hope we get countries to come through, and I just hope it's a great Olympic Games. Our political climate absolutely sucks, and I feel like it's going to mess up the Olympic game experience. That's kind of how I feel. I hope I'm wrong. I feel like I'm going to be right, but I hope I'm wrong. So, in my classroom, I've kind of extended Black History Month. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm on. And for me, and I'll just kind of talk about this real fast. Like the kids were talking like it's FebruMarch in our class, and I'm like, what you mean? We still doing Black History stuff, and I'm like, think about it. Is it Black History or is it just American history? Got everybody on board, and I really feel like that. That's why I feel like this whole DEI thing, and we're gonna take away stuff like that, it's going to be very difficult for teachers, especially teachers who really care about their skill set and everything. It's going to be hard to get teachers to like phase out things like Black history or Hispanic history or the history of women's suffrage and stuff like that. Because think about it, all of this stuff shaped America. Like it all really did. So we're only supposed to talk about the good things. It doesn't work that way, and it doesn't. And I've always said this, and I'm sticking to my guns. If I'm ever in a situation where somebody's telling me, "Hey, you have to put this on your wall," or you have to make sure, like, if I'm at a school where they're really trying to force me to do that, I'm out of there. I there's no way I'm teaching at a school that's gonna shackle me like that. Mm-mm. And I even tell parents this. I'm not into indoctrinating your kid. I'm not into making your kid feel exactly how I feel about everything. For one, that's absolutely boring. I don't need a class of 25 minions like reciting everything I say and doing all types of Mr. P speak and all that type of stuff. I'm not on that. Like it's not fair to the kids. It's not fair. It's not fair to me. Like it's not fair to anybody. But what I am going to do is I'm going to teach them about the history of America. All of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's my duty as a teacher. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm not whitewashing anything. I'm not slow playing anything. Not doing any of that. I'm also not about to sit up here and offend everybody in the classroom. Like if there's white kids in my class, I'm not about to make them feel less than because of something a white person did eons of years ago before they were even thought of. That's not cool. They're all part of our class. All the kids respect everybody. Your kid gonna get this work. You, they're gonna get these lessons. They are, and I'm I'm cool with letting parents understand and know what I'm teaching in class. Like I'm not about having parents just like sit in my class and assess everything that I'm doing. That's absolutely wild. But you want to sit in and watch? I'm good with that. I, don't know, I just always felt it was kind of weird when teachers, when parents would do stuff like that. I don't know. Either way, it's been a pretty dope February slash March. So getting up there to spring break, hoping I don't get sick again. I probably should have not went to school on Tuesday, but I was just like, whatever. I'm already there, so let's go ahead and get it done. Um, while I was laid up and super duper sick, I was looking at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominee list, and I'm like, this is absolutely bananas. How do you leave people off of this list? Like, like for real. Listen to this list. Check this out. Listen to the list that they have to choose from for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I'm doing this. I'm reading you this list in the order that of the fan vote as of March 4th. This is the Rock Hall's leaderboard as of March 4th. All right. So you're getting it from 1 to 17. There's 17 nominees. Phil Collins. This is his first time being a nominee as a solo artist. He's already in as a member of Genesis in 2010. He's first on the list. He's your number one. New Edition is next. Then Pink. Then Luther Vandross. Billy Idol. Sade. In Excess. Mariah Carey. How is she eighth? How is she eighth? How? Let's keep going. Wu-Tang Clan. Lauryn Hill. Iron Maiden. Melissa Etheridge. Oasis. The Black Crows. Shakira. Joy Division slash New Order. And Jeff Buckley. He's bringing up the rear right now. How do you pick a top seven out of this? This is an insane list for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's bananas. Mariah Carey not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame by now is a travesty of justice. Like, real talk. Mariah Carey is Christmas. Mariah Carey was one of the voices of the 90s and early 2000s. Like, her, now everybody here, they pretty much have an extensive catalog. I mean, even Lauryn Hill, even though she only dropped one solo album, she still has skins in the game from her time with the Fugees and all the other stuff she's done. So we calling her a one hit wonder will lead you to a fight in this house. I'm just saying. I don't get how Mariah Carey, with the scope of her career and her influence on the R&B genre, isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've had people hitting me up when I had this discussion, telling me why are R&B artists or rappers or anything allowed in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is not a discussion you want to have. Like, you really don't want to have this discussion, especially with somebody like me, because I'm gonna go all the way back to the depths and start explaining how rock and roll is a part of all genres of music. You can pretty much find a link between rock and roll and rap, R&B, pop, hip hop. Like, it's there. And I feel like a lot of people that talk about rock and roll, they really have a lens talking from like the 60s onward. That's really unfair to the musical state. And I feel like that's all I need to say about that. But I'm sure I'll get comments and I have to respond to those as well. I mean, other people are like, there should be a rap hall of fame. There actually is. They should have different hall of fames. I personally feel like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should change their name to the Music Hall of Fame. Me myself, because when you call yourself the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, some people that don't really understand musical genres, they tend to put everything in a box, and I feel like that's where this argument comes from. Where like it has to be rock and roll. It has to sound like grunge or it has to sound like metal. Not the case. Not the case at all. Rock and roll has so many different influences. And if you're talking about rock and roll, then all of those influences need to be a part of it as well. It's only right because if you're not including the influences, how is it a rock and roll hall of fame? It just doesn't make sense. Hey, good luck. Good luck to you, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nomination, folks. Good luck to you. Because I don't know how y'all getting seven out of this. I really don't. I'm thinking you can include more than seven. I would like to know when and where the induction ceremony will take place. I'm hoping it's in Cleveland like it should be because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is there. We'll see. I would like to go. I really would. I would like to definitely check that out. Especially if some of these nominees get in, I'm thinking. Like it's I would like to see Phil Collins in. I really would. I would love to see New Edition in. I would love to see Luther Vandross in. I was kind of a big NXS fan back in the day. I kind of was because rap was cool, but it wasn't as accessible back in the day. Whereas groups like NXS, they were always on the television. They were always dropping videos. So I kind of got into them. Um, let's go Mariah Carey. Like that's who I need to see in there. What does she have to do to get into the Hall of Fame? I don't really know. I don't get it. March Madness is coming up. Normally this would be like a whole segment on its own. I'm all about March Madness. The nostalgia for me is off the meat rack. Man, I've been pulling up old games from like 1992, the UC Bearcats making the Final Four, romping over all types of teams, beating Memphis State and Penny Hardaway's team 4 times. Look, yo, I'm not joking. Look it up. The UC Bearcats made it to the Final Four and beat Penny Hardaway's Memphis State Tigers 4 times in one season. Four. I think it's only happened twice, like ever in the history of the NCAA. They beat them twice in the regular season. They beat them once in the conference tournament. And then somehow, I don't know how this happened. It must have been before they changed the rules of how teams in the same conference could be grouped. They played each other in the Elite Eight for a trip to the Final Four. And UC beat Memphis again for the fourth time. That was wild. I, you'll never see something like that happen again. That's probably because like these conferences are just way too big, and teams only play each other once in the conference anyway. Kind of sucks. I'm excited for the women's tournament. Now, of course, the men's tournament will get, they'll get all the shine and they'll get the highlights, and it'll have me talking about it because, the men's Final Four and the men's tournament, it's a big deal. But I feel like the women's tournament is a big deal as well. And you have so many different storylines. You have UConn trying to get back into prominence, trying to, like, keep a hold on what they have. You have teams like UCLA, and you have teams like South Carolina back in there. LSU's trying to make a run back again, and the SEC has dominant teams, but the Big Ten has a whole lot of dominant teams as well. Like it's really going to be it's going to be a great tournament for the women. Where I feel like the men's tournament has an edge on the women's tournament is the fact that in the men's tournament, the talent is so spread out. You can be a 12 seed and have a really good shot to be the 5 seed because a lot of the talent that's on these 11, 12, 13, 14 seed teams, they're going to be in a P4 slash Big East uniform next year because of NIL and because of transfers. Those teams will take from the mid majors anyway. Like it's gonna happen. So the talent is spread out all across the country in the men's game. The women's game is still pretty top heavy. That's the one thing that's holding the women's game back. And I think some people see it as a slight, but it's not really a slight. It's one of those things that it'll work itself out. It was like that in the men's game for a long time. And as scholarships started to get handed out more and more, and since NIL and everything, now the talent is spread out. High school players started to realize I can win anywhere. I can play in Florida Atlantic. I can play at Florida Atlantic, my bad. And I can make it to the Final Four. I can play at San Diego State, and I can make it to the Final Four. I can get on TV. I can play on TV every night and play at Xavier or of course Mississippi State. But I could play somewhere like Air Force or BYU or Texas Tech. I could play at these places and still get airtime. They all have TV deals. The Mountain West has a TV deal. I mean, they all do. With the women's game, if you're not in that top crust of schools, you don't have a shot to make it to the second weekend. I hate to tell you. Like it's gonna be really tough for an 8 seed or a 10 seed to win 2 games on somebody else's floor because the NCAA's women's team, the women's tournament is unique in that sense. The first weekend they're held at the tournament. The tournament site is held at the seed that's the highest. So if you're a 1 seed, you get the first 2 games at home. And if you're an 8 seed, you play that 9 seed, but then you have to play the number 1 seed in their gym. It's an ultimate incentive for people to keep playing hard so you can get the highest seed possible. But it doesn't really produce a lot of upsets. And here's the thing though. Here's why I said that's not really a super duper bad thing. It sucks for the first couple days of the tournament. You know, you see chalk, you see all the high seeds win. But you know what happens? That second weekend is absolutely phenomenal because you have a one seed playing a two seed. You'll have a UCLA playing a UConn. Like that'll happen. You'll have an LSU playing the South Carolina because they're gonna make it to the second weekend and play each other in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. In the men's game, anything can happen, and it's fun to see. It's awesome to see. But let's keep it a bean. You really tuning in to see a 15 seed play in the Final Four? That's fun for you, knowing they're about to lose by like 35. It's a cool story. It really is. But the women's game kind of figured it out. We want to see the best teams play the best teams for all the marbles. That's what we want to see. The women's game figured that out. I need the men to just stop switching teams so much. Goodness gracious. Man, I follow the Xavier Musketeers a lot. Everybody on their team is new. That is not hyperbole, people. The entire team was brand new this year. They're going through some growing pains. I hope a lot of them stay for one, so I can know who they all are next year, and for two, for continuity for the program. I say all this, and 1,000%, I'm sitting in front of that television come selection Sunday. Men's and women's. Man, I'm even watching the NIT selection show. Man, if you got a bracket, I'm on it. For real. I'm gonna put in a whole bunch of bracket challenges for the men's and women's games. I'm not gonna win any of them. Man, I don't care. I'm here for it. I've been invested for way too long to not watch college tournament basketball. And I'm on spring break. Kick my feet up, teach my little kid how to play the game, and I'm on it. So before I slide out, we're gonna do another teacher review. Um, Now the teacher review is always a deep dive about a movie that either I've seen a lot and want to talk about, or I haven't seen a lot, or maybe not at all, and I want to talk about. I'm not gonna hold you. Our next movie, it's a classic, and I've never seen it. So I'm gonna sit down and watch it for the first time this week, and you're gonna be surprised that I haven't seen this movie. You really are. But I have seen this one. We're talking about the movie Election. If you don't know it, it stars Matthew Broderick and Chris Klein and Reese Witherspoon. Yep, I almost blanked on that. So here it goes. Now the story is set in Omaha, Nebraska. It's a pretty unique setting. It's like a lot of things happen there and nothing happens there at the same time. Whenever I hear Omaha, I think Belly and I think about some folks that I know in Omaha. Um, yeah. Shout out to my podcasters out there in Omaha, man. Keep holding it down. This is where the story was set. Now it follows Jim McAllister. He's a civics teacher. They call him lovable in like the trailer or whatever. Then and now, I never felt the lovable part. He always came across to me as like smug and knowing more than what he did. We'll talk about that in a second. And it stars Tracy Flick, played by Reese Witherspoon. Now you know a Tracy Flick, the overachiever, the one that's first at work, the one that she or he volunteers for everything, raises their hand all the time to answer all the questions. That's basically Tracy Flick. And my fault, Matthew Broderick played Jim McAllister. So the conflict is that Jim McAllister likes his job, he likes his life, he's trying to have a kid and it's not quite working out. But he has this anger inside of him because his best friend got fired for the grossest reason ever. He's having a sexual relationship with Tracy Flick. He ends up trying to fall in love with her. She freaks out, tells on him. He gets fired. Gross. Ah, looky here. I need a moment. Like, as a teacher, as a male teacher, I cannot think of too many things that, like, give me the creeps more than that. Like, you have the trust of these kids and their parents, and that's what you do. Let me just keep going. Now, Mr. McAllister is kind of salty because his friend's life got wrecked. He got divorced. He had to move out. He got fired. All the stuff that should happen to somebody that does something like that. You feel me? Tracy Flick, she just kind of moved on and nothing happened to her. Again, kind of how it should be. So, sabotage comes into hand. Tracy runs unopposed for the student body president. Mr. McAllister feels some type of way. So, he gets the talented and kind of goofy and a little bit off kilter Paul Metzler, played by Chris Klein. He gets him to run against her to quote unquote protect democracy. But really, he's just trying to spite Tracy Flick because he feels like she wins every single thing and he's trying to knock her off her square. That's really what's happening here. There's a side story that becomes a main story because Paul Metzler's sister, Tammy Metzler, she gets upset and she's like, I'm joining the race. And her platform is forget all of this. Nobody cares. You think one of these people are going to make the school better? It's just going to be the same thing. Y'all eating the same square pizza. Y'all eating the same canned peaches. Y'all going to the same classes. All this stuff going to be the same. And if you vote for me, I'm burning it all down. There won't be any of this anymore. And come on, this is 90s America. Of my Gen Xers feel me. Of course the kids feel this. They're like, hey, forget all of this. Let's go. Like it's some stuff I could see me doing in '97. Like they trying to burn it all down. I'm voting for her just to see the crazy stuff happen. So they're going through the motions and everything, and Tracy Flick just kind of spazzes out and just starts ripping down all of Tammy's posters and all of Paul Metzler's posters. She just spazzes out. She got the cuts on her hands. She just blacked out and said, "Forget it." Tammy Metzler takes the heat for it because she don't care anyway, so she gets suspended, and Paul Metzler wins the election. Wins the election. Yeah, it was a whole thing. They're counting the votes, and Tammy wins by one vote. Paul Metzler really went in the booth and voted for Tracy Flick. He was like, "Should I vote for myself? That just don't make sense." And he voted for her. And he loses by one vote. You can't make this stuff up. That's what happened. Mr. McAllister is like, we're not going out like that. He finds two of Tracy Flick's votes, throws them away, and says, "Hey, Paul Metzler, my guy wins." And everybody rolled with that. Up. He gets discovered. He becomes a disgrace. Oh, and by the way, he's having an affair with his friend's ex-wife. That gets found out as well. So now he loses his job because he decides to try to cheat in an election that nobody really cares about. Cuzzo, this is high school politics. You really don't like Tracy Flick that much? Bruh, you gotta get a hobby. Change subjects or something. Oh my goodness. So he gets ran out of town on a rail pretty much. And the end is him just freaking out and throwing food at a more successful Tracy Flick as she moves on, up through the ranks to become a successful politician. Yikes. I gotta say, the humor is dark and hilarious at the same time. It's a dark movie. Like it really is. I'm not pulling punches when I say this. This isn't one of those like hilarious ha 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 teacher comedies. This this starts off dark and gets darker. The affair between the teacher and the student, the stuff that the teens were doing off campus, the way that the main character, Mr. McAllister, behaved and the way he acted, it's dark and it was funny at the same time. I can't really explain it. It's one of those things you have to see, and then you watch it and go like, I'm laughing at this. It gets you right there. I thought the casting was brilliant. Chris Klein, this was his first movie. I don't know if he was acting the way he was acting because he was just a little bit scared. I don't know, but he pulled it out very well. Casting Matthew Broderick as Jim McAllister was like a chess move because you're looking at him about 7 to 10 years, probably about 10 years after Ferris Bueller. So you want him to win because you're looking at Ferris. And then the more you look at him, the more you look like, dude, this is not Ferris. And you have that kind of juxtaposition going on in your head the whole time. So it's like in Ferris Bueller, he was outsmarting the system. But in this movie, he is the system. And not only is he the system, he's like the old pathetic part of the system that wants to keep all of the power and kind of dole it out to the kids in small pieces. You look at it and go like, hmm, it's a really brilliant type of yeah, it's a really brilliant type of casting right there because it plays on the audience's nostalgia. Because I'm like, I want to feel bad for Ferris. Then I'm like, nah, this ain't Ferris. Dude is gross. Um, Back in the 90s in 1999 when this dropped, like there were actually people out there calling Tracy Flick the villain. I was never one of those people. I didn't even understand how somebody could look at her and go like, ugh, how could she do that? This is a kid. Like an adult took advantage of a kid. That's what happened. That's what happened. And I feel like as time went on, as people kind of evolved and understood, how things go, that shifted a lot, which is something I appreciate. I mean, she's a 16-year-old girl that got groomed by a teacher, and now she working her hind parts off trying to beat the system that she doesn't even know is against her. Like it's really messed up when you think about it. Like Jim McAllister is the adult in the room, and he spends his whole life trying to knock down a kid. Like, dude, what are we doing? Like, let's be for real. Um, I thought it was interesting when when Mr. McAllister had a discussion in his room about the difference between morals and ethics. And it was really ironic because like Jim understood the textbook definitions, but he couldn't apply those in his real life. And I'm like, you a whole teacher. Like this is what you do for a living and you don't see the morals and ethics of what you're doing is like super duper wrong because he's like his unethical act is good. Him rigging the election is good because Tracy is bad. And it's like when you think about it, we as humans, especially grown ups, we can shape stuff in our own way to make ourselves come out as the hero in anything. But you really got to be able to step back and go like, is what I'm doing the right thing? And I feel like if Mr. McAllister would have took a step back in the movie and went like, dude, these are kids that I teach. Did I really become a teacher and do all of that work to knock kids down? And I feel like if he would have did that, he'd have been like, okay, I need to stop. This is crazy. But it's that power dynamic, y'all. You get power, and next thing you know, you up here doing wild stuff, which is basically what happened. Um, Alexander Payne directed the movie, and they did that freeze frame thing, and they had like a whole lot of different narrators. I love those type of movies. Like something will happen, and then they'll pause, and then the person that it's happening to will tell you exactly what they're thinking. I love that style. Like that's my favorite. And in this movie, it worked because everybody saw themselves as right. Everybody saw themselves as the hero. And instead of just kind of rushing past it, you know how some movies kind of go like, okay, figure it out for yourself. Like the movie, you kind of freeze in certain moments and go like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I guess I'm doing this because that's a really dope style. I wish more movies would do that because even when the actors were being terrible people, you could see why they thought they were right. You might not agree, but that's what they were on. Couple of fun facts. Um, Barack Obama said this is his favorite political movie because, quote, it perfectly captures how the system works. That's scary to think about. I'm going to move on. Now, in deep dive fashion, not only did I watch the movie again, but I also read the book. Read the book. The book is better. The book is almost always better. Like, why is that? Well, I got my theories on that. We'll talk about that later. But in the original book, the ending is completely different. I'll spoil it for you. In the book, Tracy Flick and Mr. McAllister end up talking to each other at a car dealership, and he begins to like sell her a car. Like they're actually having a an honest conversation, and things are working out between them. It's like they forgave each other for the people that they were. That didn't happen in the in the movie. In the movie, test audiences kind of hated that. So what happened was they filmed a more cynical milkshake throwing thing at the end, and that's what we saw. So, um, you heard me be real about this kind of throughout my review. Jim McAllister is the most terrifying type of teacher you can have, and it's because what he thinks he's doing is right. Like if you really think about it, you spend the whole movie watching Ferris Bueller, the guy who we grew up rooting for, act like a total nice guy fraud. Like he's a grown man. He's a mentor to like other kids. And he becomes so obsessed with hating a 16-year-old that he literally sabotaged an entire high school election. Like really think about that. He went through all of that because he was mad about what his friend did. Now, we've all known a Tracy Flick. She the person in the office. She got the color coded binders and she make you feel lazy every time you look at her. Like, she intense. She get her job done. But what she do wrong? Like what did Tracy Flick do wrong? She got duped by somebody older than her into having an affair, and then she worked hard to become president. How was that wrong? She worked harder than everybody else while McAllister was busy cheating on his wife and rigging the teenage popularity contest. Like, let's be for real. Like, sometimes I kind of feel like the movie isn't a comedy about a high school election. It's a horror story about how we got some teachers out there, and it sucks because I'm a teacher. We got some teachers out there that like they try to gatekeep success. That's what they really try to do, and I'm like, your job is to open up the window for success. Like especially in neighborhoods, you know, like the ones that I work in, the ones that I grew up in, the ones that some of my listeners grew up in. We need teachers to uplift and kind of push kids through that window and show them what education can do. Not Mr. McAllister. Instead, he's like he got bored with his life, and he couldn't stand that a girl like Tracy was kind of lapping him like in the field of life. So when you watch it, just keep in mind, McAllister's not the hero. Like he's not. He'll try to paint himself like that, but he's the one that throws the milkshake at the end because he didn't get his way. Um, Overall, this is an 8 out of 10 movie, y'all. Like, if you like dark comedies, you'll think this is a 10 out of 10. Um, I want to say 7.5/8 because as a teacher, the whole affair just kind of like it's icky, man. Like Like it's one of those things where like I just uh but that was part of the movie. So it's a solid movie. Definitely watch it. The casting is terrific. The comedy is great, and you'll get sucked in probably within the first couple of minutes. So check it out. My kid is basically running through the house at this point, so I'm gonna go ahead and see what she up to. I'm gonna go ahead and start pre-gaming super duper early for March Madness by watching as many games as I can to like catch up on who is who. And on that note, we about to roll out. And there go the music. Y'all know what it is. Make sure you check your boy out when he drop his next one. And until then, life is good. As the claps start, y'all be safe. See y'all next time.